name is Mark Peterson. I've been working on exercise equipment for about 25 years, and chances are you're here because you saw the video I did on the Stair Master 4000 PT pedal drop. And what we're going to do in this video is to take each component that slips, drops, skips, and teach you how to take that piece off and how to reinstall that piece. So here we go. We're going to start with the chain and the pedal area first. Okay, so before I can actually take this chain off, I want to release the spring, and you have your little stud that comes out that the spring sits on. Just pull it up and let it down. Then pull your pedal all the way down to the ground. And that's going to make it nice and loose for us. Okay, then what I have is a tiny mechanic screwdriver. It's a flathead screwdriver. And with this master link that's down inside here, it's really hard to get to, and it's really tight up against the plate of the master link. So with my little screwdriver, I'm going to actually pop this. Sometimes it's easier said than done. If you've got an old stepper like this one, sometimes they're really kind of rusted together on there. Okay. Now once I get this off of here, I want to give you a better look at it and see what it really looks like, so you kind of have an idea how the master link sits. So let's pull the chain out. Okay, now I'm going to show you how this master link sits and how it clips up. Hang on, I'll give you a closer look. So this is my little mechanic screwdriver. It's a little flathead. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of pry it up under here and kind of waller it, and then I want that side to pop up. And then just pull it across. And it comes on out. Top plate comes off. This is another area to check on your stepper crank arm and on the chain itself. There's several different styles of this. This is another style. And again, some of these pins and some of these bushings can wear inside that crank arm itself. And that can be an area where you feel, some kind of a skip or drop or just something not quite smooth enough in the stepper itself. So check those little areas also. And again, this style, it goes in the actual pedal arm itself. And then when you go to put it back together, put it on your pedal arm, and then put your plate on, and then come back with your clip, and the little split points down. So I pick it up, and then once I get that one side over, kind of push down on that. Then I'll take my screwdriver and I kind of push down and over until it pops down into the groove that's in that pin right there. Okay, so as we follow the chain up, we get to the ratchet sprocket. That's the drive sprocket, the first sprocket that the chain is touching as it's coming from the crank arm itself. Okay, this little sprocket, it's held on by this little spring clip here. And this is a really strong little clip, and you can try to pry it off with a screwdriver, but it's very difficult. If you'll just go out and get you a set of spring clip pliers, it makes the job a lot easier. Also, the size of the pin and the size of the hole, they better match, because if you go too small with your pliers in these holes right here, this thing is so strong it will mess up your new tool. Okay, so anyway, and then it's kind of difficult, so be real careful and steady. Just kind of squeeze on that to it expanding, and then pull it off. A lot of the times it won't come off that easy, and so I will, in that case, I will spread it out
then I'll stick my little screwdriver back behind it and kind of help to twist it back and pop it off that way. Okay, so then you've got a series of washers and bearings. This is actually a flat bearing. Now this is not going to cause a pedal drop, but what it will cause is a roughness within the drive itself. And then you got a couple more of these little spacers here. Okay, now these all go in a line, and basically you have two of these flat washers sandwiching those bearings right there so that it goes nice and smooth. Okay, so after that you just pull off your sprocket. And you can take a look on the inside, see how much rust is built up in there. And most of the time, if you've got a sprocket that's actually messing up, when you look inside here, it's going to be really rusty. You may see a crack in it. Also check this outer housing for a crack, because they do tend to crack. If you get a bearing that crumbles up and gets caught in the shaft, it'll put extra pressure on the outside of this housing, and it'll crack it. Okay, so after you've got that off, another thing to check is going to be this shaft right here. And on this shaft, this groove, we're cutting just a little bit of a groove down inside here. The bigger the groove that you have, the harder it is for those bearings to grip and tighten onto that. So you could have a combination of things with a pedal drop. You could have a grooved shaft in this area, and then also on your ratchet sprocket, you could have some bearings and things that get messed up inside there. So if you have a heavily worn grooved shaft, go ahead and replace that too. Okay, so now if that's for the left side on the crank arm, or actually on the drive system here. And so to get to the other side, of course you're going to take the remainder, and here again we have that little bearing kind of washer that helps it to be able to run back and forth against the housing of the machine itself. Ooh, there's something right there. Piece of metal or something. Now also, that piece of metal is bothering me. See, there's something going on here more than meets the eye. It came off of this back side, so we may have a bearing on this little plate. Something may be going on with this. I'll have to inspect this a little bit more. Has nothing to do with the pedal drop though. Okay, so from this point on, we're going to turn the stepper around. We're going to pull this shaft out and to be able to take off the ratchet sprocket on the right side of the stepper. Okay, so before we can do any of that, we're going to need to take the spring off. Get it out of the way. Okay, then we also need to take the drive chain off, and then we're just going to pop the master link on the drive chain like we popped the master link on the actual pedal step chain. Again, use my little mechanic screwdriver. And then again, pulling it to the side, sliding it back, and pulling it off. Then another plate comes off, and then my chain, master link out the back. My chain pretty much is going to fall off. So since we already have our ratchet sprocket off the left side, from that point you just go ahead and pull this whole drive assembly out, just like that. And it's got the same series of washers. You've got your two here, you got your drive, and then you've got your other washer inside. Anyway, on this right side, you want to check the insides of your bearings.
make sure everything is nice and tight, because remember, that can be a pedal drop for one side or the other. If your pedal drops on the left side, it's going to probably be this on the left side drive sprocket. If your pedal drops on the right side, it's going to be the one drive sprocket on the right side, probably causing you the problems. Okay, so another thing that can happen is that the bearings in this hub can go bad. When the bearings go bad in here, it allows space for this drive sprocket to actually move forward. Well, when your drive sprocket moves forward, it loosens up your drive chain, and then when your chain is loose, it'll tend to skip. So before you replace the chain, make sure that your drive sprocket is nice and tight and is very secure, and it doesn't wobble back and forth like this one here does. Okay, coming on down the line, we get to the transmission. Most of the times what I find on transmissions is that the bearings have gone out and they're loud. The gears inside are getting worn to a point where things just aren't smooth, and they're getting loud in that point. And then for slipping, most of the things I've found is that the Allen screws will be loose on the pulleys, or they may be missing the little key stock that goes in the end that locks all of that up. So for that pedal slip, if you get down this far, check these sprockets and make sure they're not slipping and that you have a key stock inside. And that goes for the right side too. Okay, for one of the last spots that you're going to get a drop in your pedal step is going to be on your alternator belt, the belt from your alternator to your transmission. If the belt is loose, it will slip. A lot of the time when it slips, it will also squeak at the same time, as opposed to the other skips that we have, which will be the knocks or grindings and things like that. Also check the ribbing on your belt. If the ribbing is worn, it will tend to want to slip a lot. Some of the older models had a cog tight belt. It's not as tight, it has a little more play than what these ribbon poly V belts have. So this is another area to check. So go ahead and tighten up the belt a little bit and tighten your bolt back down. It's a very simple fix with that. Okay, now it's time to start putting everything together. What I'm going to start with is my drive assembly with my little ratchet locking sprockets. And once I get that in place, I can reattach the drive chain in between these two, and then put my chain back over my sprockets, hook it back up to my stud, and move to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to put my drive sprocket assembly back in, and remember, make sure you have a washer, a bearing washer, and then another washer, okay? And then on top of that, you get your sprocket. Now remember, it's latching in one way, and so as this drive sprocket catches, it's going to turn that main sprocket. Now you want to make sure that on the downstroke of your pedal is when that's happening. Also, if you look really close, on the end of this is stamped which way the locking direction is. Another thing to remember is that on your right hand side, the sprockets actually go to the inside of the machine or towards the shaft. Don't put the sprockets on the outside facing the main drive sprocket, okay? So leave that one clear. The sprockets go on the inside on the right hand side. Okay, so now that we've got that, we have to get our other little pieces. Now remember, on the other side, or actually on the other side of this sprocket, we're going to have another washer, and then we're going to have another bearing top washer, and then another washer for that. The two washers sandwich that bearing. Okay, just slide that on.
So now that's going to make easy running for the right side and the left side of that sprocket. After that, we just go ahead and replace it back inside, okay? And then now what we'll be able to do is to bring our chain up and over. And I've always found it easier to get these chains back on if you go ahead and set the end in a groove and then pull it around and then back it up with the other groove. That way you can come in behind it, add that master link, and it'll all hold together there. Okay, again we put the flat plate, and then we have our little master clip, and this one actually snapped on just really easy. Okay, here we go with the left side, and the way we start here is that we need to have a flat washer, a bearing washer, and a flat washer. Okay, that goes on first. Then we take our sprocket, and the way you put it on is just to spin it. Now if you'll notice, this one slips on the way backwards, so it's actually backwards. So make sure that you're going in the proper direction. Okay, so now it's locking in my down direction and it's slipping on my way back up. Okay, and also just a little bit of point, on this left side the sprocket teeth actually go against the machine. And again, on the outside of it you'll have a little marker that says locked. Okay, after we've got that on, we go back with another washer. We have the bearing washer, what I call it. It's probably called something else. And then I put that other flat washer. Then I kind of squeeze. All right, now, the very important things are these little tools. And the tool means everything. If you don't have the right tool, you will suffer and fight with this one little section all day. Make a 10-minute job into a 45-minute job. And then just clip it on, okay? Okay, after that, I just slip my chain through. Well, and actually, this other side is, if you just kind of push down on the right sprocket and get that to twisting, you can go ahead and bring that chain all the way around. Okay. So now I want to attach the chain to my pedal arm. So just bring your master link in, set it inside, come back with your little flat plate, such. Okay, then you go back with your locking clip, and again that short section with the hole in it goes on top. Just slide it on, come down and around, and then I'm gonna get in your way here, but we're going to push it up against that pin on one side, kind of pull it back down and around. And it could be a struggle. There we go. And then take this piece and pull it flat in. Okay, so now I can pull my spring back up.
through. Just pull up and then reconnect. Then of course you have to get on and test it. Just some basic pushes. My left side is good. My right side. Okay, that's pretty much going to conclude this video on the Stair Master 4000 PT pedal drop. If you've gone through this video and you're finding you're still having an issue with the pedal drop of some kind and you can't figure it out, well, go ahead and email me. I can still support you. My email is markepeterson@austin.rr.com. I hope the video helped you out, and thank you very much. Have a good day.